Welcome back. Continue. In Tibetan Buddhism, as you know, you have to practice the preliminaries first. That's because they give you the opportunity to transform your mind and prepare the mind for deeper practices. So practicing the preliminaries essential because they lay the foundation for deep spiritual progress. And if you don't have a good foundation, then it doesn't matter how much you practice, you do. So preliminary practice are like building a solid foundation before constructing a complex structure. And there are different ways of doing the preliminary practices. And some people do a little bit of each practice every day, but the way we do them is we select one of the preliminary practice and then do the practice each day. And usually in the morning and evening, before or after your work. And practice like the preliminaries like that every day until 100,000 recitations are completed. But you should know that the number itself is not that important. But it's also like 100,000 opportunities to do the practice with full concentration and great faith. You have 100,000 opportunities if you practice 100,000 times. So the number gives you a goal to work towards and a sense of accomplishment when you have reached it. However, it's important not only to focus on a calculation, calculating how many you have done during a length of time, but quality, right? Quality is very important. And it's also helpful to have a group of Dharma friends who are doing the same practice so that you share experiences with each other. Of course, not everything will be clear and comfortable from the beginning. There will be hesitations, doubts, and obstacles that arise while doing them. But the only way to purify your mind is to work with your obstacles. And usually people also think that and have the idea that after they finished preliminary practice, there is going to be something else much better, much more effective, much more interesting. But that is not the case because every other practice need to go with the preliminaries, like four thoughts. So be clear in your mind if you're going to do preliminary practice as a retreat or as a part of your daily practice. You need to make a commitment and to keep that discipline in your mind. So it's essential to do the practice at least once every day to keep the continuity. I'm telling you these things because there are many people doing preliminary practice. You must know how to work with this skillfully, as well as you know how to handle the different distractions that arise in and don't practice preliminaries without a teacher. They're very complicated. If questions come up while you are working on the preliminaries, specific like particular practice, you need to ask your teacher for help and um, don't keep the hesitation in your mind and be happy that you have met the Dharma, meet this kind of practice and have the chance to practice and recognize this opportunity as usual, so important. And generate your bodhicitta motivation again and again and think of how your practice benefits yourselves and others. This is how you usually practice them and why you need to practice them first. And this is how my lineage and how my root teachers taught me and how I actually practiced. Keep that in your mind. Being said that, now the first preliminary is taking refuge, which is the another foundation of all the Buddhist paths. As you know, taking a refuge means relying on the three jewels to guide you towards a beneficial direction in your life. As Bapter which says that without refuge, there are no commitment, no discipline. There is no way to develop your confidence, your faith. Therefore, without refuge, you cannot accomplish any of the teachings on the path. But I'm not going to teach you how to practice refuge because you all know it and many of you have already done it. But here you are examining your mind and your actions. And as you know, the essence of refuge practice is to develop your faith, courage, and confidence, right? So here, Pema Dündul says about the refuge. It means, or if you can keep the three jewels in your mind so that they are never separate from it. That's a sign that you have been hooked by the compassion of the Spirit refuge. So this verse highlights the profound relationship between the practitioner and the three jewels. The three jewels are considered the ultimate refuge in Buddhism. to keep them in your mind so that they are never separate. But in order to keep them in your mind, you need connection, which is your faith, devotion. And you have to understand the benefits of practicing three jewels or keep them in your mind. So when your mind becomes inseparable from the three jewels, it's a sign that you have opened your mind, your heart to this compassionate guidance, the great protectors. It means their teachings deeply sort of alive within your mind, right? That's a good sign. The three jewels are called here like supreme refuge in Buddhism. They represent the ultimate source of safety and liberation from the suffering of ocean of samsara. If the practitioners no longer doubts about the three jewels and naturally turns to the practitioners in times of difficulty, but they feel a strong connection to the Dharma as the true path to liberation, that's a good sign. And when the three jewels are inseparable from your mind, it means a profound internal transformation. Your faith, your trust in them, they can stay in your mind inseparably, which keep you on the right path by showing you what to adopt or what to abandon, avoid. So if you believe in the Buddha and practice Dharma together as a Sangha harmoniously, it will protect you from suffering. That's the benefit of practice and refuge. Practice and refuge and keep them, the three jewels, in your minds all the time is important, all the time. So that's why it says, keep the three jewels in your mind so that they are never separate from you. The more you understand the three jewels, your faith increase. When you feel happiness and inspiration when engaging in Dharma activities, that's a good sign that the three jewels, they're inseparable in your mind. When you respect and value spiritual teachers and respect practitioners, respect Dharma teachings, You feel you are part of the Dharma community. You are receiving the blessings from the Buddha when you study his teachings. That's a good sign that you are inseparable from three jewels. When you study the teachings, you think, oh, this makes sense. I want to practice Buddhism. You know, this kind of faith is based on a strong desire. I think most of you have this kind of faith in the three jewels. But I'm skeptical of confident faith. Confident faith is total trust and unchangeable, no matter what kind of circumstance you are in, whether you are happy or sad, whatever, your belief is unchangeable. That is what we call confident faith. That is the sign that you have never separate from the three jewels in your mind. If you have that kind of faith, not desirable faith, but confident faith, then absolutely, definitely, you have never ever separate from the three jewels in your mind because of your confident faith. So this kind of faith and belief allows the blessings to enter into your mind, enter into your life. So therefore, refuge practice is the foundation. If that kind of faith in your mind, nobody can destroy your spiritual path and Buddhism. And it is very possible to have that kind of faith. 1980, the Chinese Revolution came to Tibet and destroyed everything. But people have in their mind, and they have that kind of faith, they couldn't destroy Buddhism. They can destroy temples and kill people, but the Buddhism is their aim was want to destroy Buddhism, but can't because you have that kind of faith, unchangeable, no matter what kind of circumstance you're in. You're not going to give up. So if there is no refuge, that kind of refuge within your mind, even if you say a lot of prayers and mantras, it means nothing. So you have to think and investigate yourself. How many times have you practiced refuge and remembered the three jewels in a day? How strong is your faith in the three jewels? As a Buddhist practitioner, these are so important. If you have these signs in your mind, your practice refuge is not just intellectual, but deeply integrate into their being. So the stronger these qualities and signs become, the closer you move toward true awakening, liberation, enlightenment, and you receive their blessings their blessings not far away with that kind of faith. So practice in the three jewels is fundamental in Buddhism. And taking refuge in them is not just a sort of formal ritual, but a deep commitment to the path of awakening. Okay? Now the next verse is of course Bodhicitta. We have refuge, then we have bodhicitta. These are we call inner preliminary practice, right? You start with the refuge, and then you start with the bodhicitta. It says, if you can meditate on how all beings have been your parents, that's a sign of the horizon mandala of the sun and the moon of Mahayana. So here Pema Dündul talks about the sign of bodhicitta arising in your mind, right? So he says, if you can meditate on how all beings have been your parents, this reflects on the Buddhist sort of concept of beginningless rebirth. So in samsara, at some point, every being has been your parents. That means caring for you with love and kindness and means we have been reborn countless times. Do you remember there is instruction called this Gardamba's master's instruction, the 7 points of the cause and effect instruction. So if you believe in a future life, this instruction is very, very powerful. You recognize there have been your parents and carrying you with their love and compassion, repay their kindness, all that kind of. We have that 7 points, the cause and effect instruction. When you practice bodhicitta, if you believe cause and karma and future rebirth. So in order to know how all beings have been your parents, you need to contemplate on this instruction. But if you don't believe in a future life, or if you don't believe in cause and karma, then this instruction is not perfect for you, or this instruction is difficult to understand. But we have different kinds of instructions for practice in bodhicitta, right? Like according to Bhakti Rinpoche, we practice bodhicitta by meditating on four immeasurable. According to Shantideva, we practice bodhicitta by meditating on 3 stages of training, which is, considering others as equal to ourselves, exchanging ourselves for others, taking others as more important than ourselves. Remember these 3 stages training by Shantideva, how to practice bodhicitta when you practice bodhicitta. So Bhakti Rinpoche said, if you deeply experience this exchange happening even once in your mind, it can purify your mind and it can purify the negative actions that you accumulate and create the accumulation of merit. So this bodhicitta exchange 3 stages, so powerful, so important, because it will save us from suffering in the future. That's why it says here, that's sign of the arising mandala of the sun and moon of Mahayana. So in Buddhism, a mandala is a symbolic image of the whole universe, right? And then the sun and moon symbolize wisdom and compassion, which are the two essential wings of Mahayana practice, Bodhicitta practice. So if you have developed Bodhicitta in your mind, then basically it is saying that you understand all the teachings of Mahayana and you eliminate ignorance. It's like the sun arising without any darkness, so to speak. And it's like during the full moon, you can see the whole mandala of the universe. So basically, it's saying when you developed bodhicitta in your mind, you can see the whole universe, the whole world. There is no dark, right? So you can see 24 hours the whole universe. That means because you have this sun and moon, that clarifies the darkness. So that means when you practice bodhicitta, you have developed bodhicitta in your mind. So that means you understand the entire teachings of what do you call it, Buddhism. So that's why we call bodhicitta motivation in Tibetan, like sambhajachira, which means like the extraordinary intention of bodhicitta, or the immense thought of bodhicitta motivation. That's why bodhicitta is the root of the Mahayana path and practice. So meditating on this, we need to deeply recognize that there is no distinction between ourselves and others, period. This is my side. This is my parents. This is my friend. This is my enemy. This is, I don't know this person. Then you have this, then there is discrimination. Then that means there is no genuine bodhicitta in your mind. You know, Buddha said, taking your own body and mind as an example, do not harm others. So you have to investigate how much experience of bodhicitta in your mind. Do you really feel compassion for other beings and want them to be free from suffering of samsara? Don't just think about it intellectually, but genuinely. My teacher said that, to know whether or not you have generate bodhicitta in your mind, check how you take care of those in need. As you look into your own mind, your own action, and if you find that your diminution, your selfish mind, that is a good sign that positive change is taking place. If you find that certain actions of body, speech, and mind are negative, which is the opposite of bodhicitta, that is a not good sign. So knowing whether you have developed bodhicitta in your mind requires deep self-reflection, examination. So if you feel a deep natural concern for others, even those who are difficult, that is a good sign. Your compassion is not just emotional, but active, motivating you to help others in skillful ways. Your deep wish is no longer just your personal happiness, but happiness for others. That is a good sign that you have developed bodhicitta in your mind. Your aspiration to benefit others remains strong and unwavering. That's a good sign. If you notice less attachment to your ego, selfish mind, and focus more on others' well-being, that's a good sign. If you feel genuine happiness when others succeed without jealousy, that's a good sign. If you feel responsible for the welfare of all beings as a human being, Mahayana Buddhist practitioner, if you feel you are responsible for the welfare of other sentient beings, that's a good sign. I'm not talking about intellectual understanding. If you accept that achieving enlightenment for the sake of all beings is a long journey, yet you remain committed to reach enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, that's a good sign. If you find joy and benefit in others, even in small ways, that's a good sign. If these qualities are arising naturally and increasingly in your mind, it is a strong sign that bodhicitta developing within you. That's how you investigate whether or not you have developed bodhicitta in your mind. In this way, you observe every action of body, speech, and mind. Every action that you perform has a motivation at its beginning. So you have to investigate whether this motivation is positive or negative, and you should do this as often as you can, and you should try to do it at least 3 times a day. I'm not saying like I am a bodhisattva and I have developed bodhicitta in my mind. I'm not saying that, but I can say, and I guarantee you, if you practice bodhicitta, not intellectual, but you have some experience in some qualities in deeper level in your mind, I guarantee you it brings you happiness, everlasting happiness and joy. We usually think, external things, money, position, power, famous, all this, they think bring happiness. It's questionable. Sometimes they do, but most time they don't. Um, they bring unhappiness. But this genuine motivation, action brings you the everlasting happiness. I can say that. So that's all. You all know that this practice is the most important one. I'm very certain that you all have capacity to develop bodhicitta in your mind before you die if you really want it. So keep that in your mind. And then bodhicitta, next is the Vajrasattva. Goksam digdra bakchak janshi na ngan song korwi kirgo chopitak. I have to drink the water constantly today. Sorry about that. If you can, it says, if you can purify the obscurations of your body, speech, and mind, that's a sign that you are closing the door to rebirth in samsara's lower realms. So this line refers to the connection between purifying obscurations and avoiding rebirth in the lower realms of samsara, right? In Buddhism, obscurations are mental and karmic, how do I say, obscures that block your wisdom and liberation. So usual in Buddhism, there are two obscurations. The first, afflictive obscurations. These are negative emotions like anger, attachment, jealousy, ignorance, so forth, right? And then the other is called cognitive obscuration. Shipsha means these are the sort of deeper misperceptions that block direct realization of emptiness, the nature of mind. So when these obscurations dominate our mind, they create negative karma. We talked about the karma. And negative karma, which leads to suffering and possible rebirth in samsara's lower realms. So here it says, if you can purify the obscurations of your body, speech, and mind, it means purifying the three doors: body, speech, and mind. Three doors. Body, purifying body means avoiding harmful actions, such as killing, right? All this body, you have to purify. Don't harm yourself and others. And then purify speech, avoiding harmful words, like harsh words and all that kind of things, right? Purify. Then the mind, purifying mind, avoiding harmful negative thoughts. So these purifications done through discipline, meditation, and purification practice. So we all need to purify our obscurations. It is extremely necessary, even for people who don't believe in rebirth and future life. You have to purify obscurations by body, speech, and mind. By purify all obscurations, you gradually eliminate self-grasping ignorance, which is the root of suffering and samsara, according to Buddhism. So if you are actively purifying your body, speech, and mind, that is a strong indication that you are on the path to freedom from samsara's lower realm. And you are moving towards awakening, the enlightenment. So knowing whether you have purified your obscurations requires careful sort of self-examination again, you know. You experience, for example, like less anger. And when negative emotions arise in your mind, they pass like more quickly and don't sort of overwhelm you. That's a good sign that your purification practice is working. If your mind feels less burdened by anxiety or regret, that's a good sign. If you feel inner joy and peace, even without um, external reasons, that's a good sign. And if you naturally avoid negative actions without feeling sort of forced, that's a good sign. If you can choose virtue as actions over harmful habits, even in difficult situations, that's a good sign that you are purifying your mind. If you feel a stronger connection to prayers, mantras, purification practice, that's a good sign. If you practice Vajrasattva, saying 100-syllable mantra, but you feel there's no connection between your mind and the prayers, you are not doing well. When you do make mistakes, you correct them quickly and don't repeat them as often. That's a good sign that you are purifying your mind. If you have less doubt about the Dharma teachings and great confidence in your purification practice, purification methods, that's a good sign. If you feel deep gratitude towards your lineage, towards your teacher, your practices, that's a good sign. If you experience positive dreams, such as sort of receiving the blessings, um, your actions based on bodhicitta, compassion, love, kindness, if you have that kind of dream, or you hearing the mantras from deities, so forth, that's a really good sign that your purification practice is working. Right? People always ask me, what are the signs that negative karma is purified? Because people have a hard time to understand negative karma. How do you purify it? Can we really purify our mind? Yes, we can. So these are the signs that your negative karma purified. So if you are experiencing these changes, these sort of qualities arising in your mind, it's a sign that your obscurations are diminishing. The more you purify, the more clear your mind and you become fearless, your mind becomes. The more you purify. So the best way to improve yourself is purifying these obscurations and developing bodhicitta in your mind. So they're basically all these meditations, preliminary, is different methods, but the goal is one. So the more you purify your obscurations, bodhicitta will arise. The more you develop bodhicitta in your mind, you're you're purifying obscurations. So they're kind of same. The goal is same, but you're using different methods to practice different instructions. So either bodhicitta, either three jewels, either vajrasattva, purification, all is the same goal. You have to purify my mind or mind and bring these qualities in your mind, but you use different methods, different techniques, and you have to practice very skillfully. So if your mind is not disturbed, then your happiness is there. So as Bhakti which said that there is nothing good about obscurations, negative karma, besides that they can be purified through your purification practice. So we definitely can purify all of them, but in order to purify them, you have to understand how to purify them through your purification practice. So I've taught so many times how purify karma, the negative, the obscurations. Okay, Bodhisattva is done. The science of practice purification, which is Bodhisattva in this case, those are the science you should investigate, check in your mind whether you have or not. Now, here I think meditate on a little bit, practice Bodhisattva after. Um, let's meditate on bodhicitta with purification practice a little bit here, okay? Because it's a powerful way to clean, right? Cleanse the obscurations and your um, 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 commitment to benefiting all beings, which is bodhicitta. So as again, sitting comfortable with, straight your back. And then again, prepare, few sort of deep breaths. Take a few deep breaths and allowing your mind to settle and relax your body. That's very important. And then reflect on all beings, including animals, um, just like yourself, wish to be free from suffering. Human beings, by the way, sometimes I feel like very scary, worse than animals. The way we harm others, it's unbelievable. Why can't we have a little compassion or love? Human beings are, I'm very, the way harm animals and all other beings, human beings are very scary being, I think. Even though we say we have this all capacity, and precious life and all this, but sometimes it's dangerous. So just reflect all beings and consider them, you know, just like yourself, which means like a wish to be free from suffering, right? But due to the negative karma and obscurations, we continue, um, you know, wandering in samsara and experience suffering, right? So now in this meditation, you say, I will purify my negative karma, whatever, the obscurations, not just for myself, but for all beings. So that means imagine your meditation is not just for yourself, but for all sentient beings. With that intention, motivation, visualize your personal protector in front of you, if you have one, or Vajrasattva, Buddha Shakyamuni, Guru Padmasambhava, whoever. Visualize, or either three jewels, whatever. So you visualize in front of you, and then also visualize all sentient beings are around of you, surrounding yourself. Then imagine from your protector a stream of pure sort of white light, radiate, enters your body through your head and feel in every part of your body, your mind, and also other sentient beings. And as it flows, visualize all your and others' obscurations sort of completely dissolving. And feel your body and mind become clear, crystal clear, and more sort of luminous with every breath. There's no obscuration. So then sometimes you feel, oh, I can see everything, the whole universe. Visualize like that and focus on that. Radiate light and comes dissolved into your body, your mind, and fills every part of yourself, your body. And then imagine the nectar of this light becoming even more sort of radiant and completely purifying you and all sentient beings that are around you. And then feel deep relief and joy that your obscurations have been sort of purified. And that means freed from suffering, from samsara, and filled with light of bodhicitta. Focus on that. And then just relax right there. And you breathe gently and experience the relaxation and peace in your mind, your body. And then sometimes you want to recite whatever you visualize the protectors, like either Vajrasattva, then you recite 100-syllable mantra, Pamasambhava, his mantra, whatever. Sometimes you recite the mantra, which is essence of that protector, and focus on that, purify your negative obscuration. If you don't want to recite any mantra, that's fine. Just to relax and purify all sentient beings, all obscurations and negative karma, and then you just feel happiness, enjoyment, and all that. And then just relax there, because this happiness brings into your mind peace and relaxation. So meditate on that.